Welcome into the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. My name is Andrew Petters, and I've got a special treat for you today because I sat down with the Director of Marketing and Communications of the Tennessee Golf Association, and we talked about the growth of the game and all the different programs that the state offers now for anybody wanting to learn the game of golf at a young age. And we talk about his journey on how he got from East Tennessee hills to the big city of Nashville, Tennessee. So hope you enjoy it. And if you do, hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with your friends, rate us, and please welcome in Darren Reese of the Tennessee Golf Association.
Of all the games I used to play in my younger, wilder days, the game of clubs and tees had never crossed my mind. But after some discussion with my closest, dearest friends, I decided that I'd give it one good try.
All right, this is the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast. As you know, my name is Andrew Putters, and it is a joy to bring on another guest onto the show. This, my friends, is Darren Reese from the Tennessee Golf Association. His role he plays there is the Director of Marketing and Communications for them. If you ever hear me say or type out on Twitter, TGA, that's what that stands for, Tennessee Golf Association. So, Darren, welcome into the show, bud.
Hey, Andrew, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Looks like it's
I've
cold
enjoyed-
looks like it's cold where you're at.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly tonight. I was actually been your way over Christmas break and got about 6 inches of snow. And I come back to Nashville and it's still pretty dreary here. So
Yeah. So Darren, so tell us a little bit about you. What's your background? How do you get into being the director of marketing or whatever for a golf association?
so I've been here for 3 years. Chad Anderson hired me as director of communications, like you said, and then about a year ago, I started doing all the communications for Golf House Tennessee, which includes the Tennessee Section PGA, the Tennessee Golf Foundation, the SNEDS Tour, TGA. And so before that, I was in the newspaper business. I was the sports editor at the Greenville Sun for about 6 years, and prior to that, I was the sports editor at my hometown newspaper in Jefferson County, kind of Dandridge over there we were close to. And of course, the newspaper business isn't exactly what it once was. Kind of saw the writing on the wall with that. And so I was looking for something different. And Chad, he made this position about the same time. And as fate had it, I ended up here and hadn't looked back. So.
Yeah, I grew up in the junior golf of Tennessee, like you talking about. I think it was the Vince Gill Junior Tour. I don't know what SNEDS you said now. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's of course Brant Snedeker grew up here in Nashville, 2012 FedEx Cup champion. He's kind of put his name on that, and he's a great asset to junior golf here in Tennessee, and it's grown. And I played the Vince Gill as well, back 2099 around that time, and what it is then to now, it's just unbelievable the growth it's had. So.
Yeah, I was looking at this stuff. I've got a little buddy, Ethan Whitaker. He plays a lot of that stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and
He's a great player. I've seen a lot of him this summer. So.
right. So I follow him through that, and I'm like looking. I'm like, golly, this is so much better than it was when we played growing up. I mean, it's like so much more available for kids and stuff. As far as competitive wise, it's just really, really awesome what you all have been able to grow that to.
Yeah, I think especially last year during the COVID and everything, everybody was kind of itching to play golf, get outdoors, and the tour had its best season ever as far as participation numbers and rounds played and all that. And they'll play the summer schedule goes from in the May Memorial Day through Labor Day, and they'll play 160 tournaments at 130 different courses across the state or something like that. So I mean, it's a great opportunity. A lot of states, I found out, don't really have something like organized like that, like we have here. So that's a great thing for the juniors in our state to take advantage of and kind of get introduced to the game and competitive golf.
Absolutely, yeah. So what's your background as far as golf goes? Growing up, you say you grew up in the Dandridge area.
Yeah, so I grew up, my dad, he was a member out at Danvers Golf and Country Club. And so, I used to tag along with him when I was 5 or 6 years old. And, I got in, me and my brother, he's about 4 years younger than me. And we, once I got middle school age, my mom would take us out there and drop us off in the morning. And, we'd play, 45, 50 holes, and she'd come get us when it was dark. So, and then I played golf at Jefferson County High School, and after high school, I didn't really, I wasn't, you know, world class like you or Stallings or any of those guys. So I mean, I did. My golf career kind of ended there. I still play recreationally and the local 2-man events and stuff like that. But and then you know I guess at the time I was in Greenville, I actually started getting arthritis in my shoulder, and so I quit for a long time. And then when I got down here, everybody's playing golf, so it, kind of felt pressured into getting back in the game, picking up a little bit. So I've been playing a little bit more here lately, but I'm not quite on the level of you guys, but I do enjoy seeing y'all compete, in all our tournaments and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, golf is probably, I think, it's the greatest game out there because you can play it forever, no matter how good or bad. Like you said, you're probably played a lot more when you're younger and better, and then now as it gets older, it's still fun to get out there and play and at least watch it or be around it some way or another.
I just enjoy it more now, just seeing the different golf courses. Like through this job, I'm fortunate, where I get to see a lot of different courses outside of the state and stuff. And that's what I enjoy most about it, is just kind of the architecture and seeing the different courses, and just meeting the people that you'll meet through the game of golf. I made so many contacts and friends while I've been here. It's just I'm not the best golfer, but I enjoy all the stuff that comes along with it. So.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Actually, I was scrolling through the Instagram, man. Quite the photographer. Is that a little hobby on the
Oh
side
yeah.
as well?
Yeah, I mean, that was, always been my passion. And that's what especially during the newspaper days, I took a lot of photography for the newspaper and stuff like that. And so I enjoy traveling and, just, seeing the world. So I do like to take pictures. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, I've come to learn just getting into this a little bit that journalism is kind of a dying thing. It's at least in the
Yeah,
paper print, and there's so much information on the internet. It really cheapens down the product overall.
there is. I mean, I was kind of in a situation where up in Greenville or Dandridge or places like that. It's still hanging on a little bit, community journalism, because, I mean, for instance, Greenville or South Green or whatever, volleyball or something, the newspaper's the only place that they're going to get information like that. It's not like the, Knoxville or somewhere where you have, 30 different people covering the same, Jeremy Pruitt press conference or anything
Hmm.
like that. So, community journalism, I mean, that's what I've always done, and I enjoyed it. But you're right. I mean, it's just everybody, likes to have things that, in an instant right now, and our attention spans are so short. And I mean, even myself, I'll be scrolling through and find a video on, YouTube or Facebook or something. And I mean, if it doesn't get to the point, in 30 seconds or so, I'm probably going to keep on scrolling. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. You watch a 1 minute video and you almost lose patience by the time to get to the end to see the punchline. So, well, I mean, you said that you wasn't much of a golfer, but I've got something here I want to talk. We got to discuss here. Let me pull it up. There
I
we
need to
go.
tag Scott Stallings real quick, man.
You know what this is about.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Let's see if we can get to pull up.
To
There we go. So set the tone here. What is this?
So Stallings here, he had been barking. This was at the Tennessee Junior Cup, which I'll tell you more about that. But he had been barking in my ear all day about how he's going to embarrass me in the skills challenge, and so he got me up here, and it was about 140 yards off the back porch at the Grove to the 18th green, and he called me out and made me hit in front of everybody, and I about hold it. It hopped over the cup there and about 3 inches, and so I don't let him live it down. He makes fun of me because I'll go in there about once every couple of months or so and retweet it just so everybody will see it again. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
No, the Junior Cup, which Scott, just as Brant, he does so many great things for junior golf in Tennessee, and the Junior Cup's kind of like the season-ending, Ryder Cup deal where the best players on the east side of the state and the west side of the state will come together for 3 days out at the Grove, and Scott, he puts, Scott's very hands-on. If Scott puts his name on something, then he's going to make sure, it's quality, and he's a big part of it. And so Scott will be out there interacting with these kids for 3 days and, playing with them and, having little different games with them and stuff. And so, it's just something we do to cap the end of the season. And, that's one of the things like we were talking about, we didn't really have, back when we were young. So,
Yeah, especially the participation. I'm thinking like when I was, say, 15 years old, I'm trying to think who we probably had, like Lauren Roberts and Garrett Willis and
Sean McKill, maybe.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
There was another Burns, Bill Burns, Bob Burns or something maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. And of course, the thought wasn't that junior golf was the future at that time either in the PGA. So. But yeah, it's I like I said, I look at all this stuff you guys are doing now and just like I'm amazed at how much is available for kids to do. So what, as far as like the beginner junior programs coming out of Nashville, what have y'all got going there?
So here at Golf House, which is located in Franklin, we do, we have two PGA teaching professionals here, Galen Coot and Valerie Vaughn, and they'll have, and then Daniel Berger as well. Daniel Booker, I'm sorry, he just came on last year, but they'll have clinics and classes and stuff that they're pretty much year round. I mean, we close the course down here in February or January and February. But other than that, I mean, they have clinics and classes going on, every day, every evening. And, there'll be cars parked along the highway out here. And I mean, we've seen a big uptick in kind of the interest in golf here the last year or so. But, they'll, other than the clinics and the classes and the individual lessons, and they'll have little junior beginner tournaments out here like Daddy Caddy and stuff like that. And so there's always something going on and ways to kind of get kids interested in the game. And as from a Tennessee Golf Foundation perspective, we kind of filter that out to other areas. You probably see in Knoxville over at Concord Park and Beverly Park, and Hayden Eccles, he does a great job over that way. And just different ways to grow the game. We were talking about Scott. Scott has his Kids Play Free program out there in Knoxville. And what that is any junior golfer 18 and under can go to Beverly Park or Concord Park at any time and sign up for the program, and they can play free golf, as many times as they want. So just a lot of opportunities right now within the state. And, we're always looking for ideas and ways to, have more engagement and get more people involved and keep growing the game. So.
Right. Yeah. And, I appreciate 100% like for as far as the work you do is that, I've got 4 kids. I work full-time job, obviously. So I can play in like one event a year usually. And then I usually play about 10 rounds of golf a year, and 8 of them are competitive. And, so I'll play like 2 regular tournaments, like a couple 2-man, and then 1 state event. That's usually like as much as I can get away with here at this house. So, I appreciate, if I'm at work or whatever, I can look at my phone and see an update or see a video you post. Like, it's almost like you have it's right there at the tip of your hands, which is kind of the first time we've ever experienced that from a fan's perspective, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing. I mean, before I came here, it wasn't really a lot of social media being utilized. I mean, not just here, but, every state has a golf association, and it just wasn't a big thing. And I'll give Chad credit. He was kind of at the forefront of seeing kind of how we could benefit from it, and how we could utilize social media and stuff like that going forward. And all our players and their families and fans and just the golf community in general has kind of embraced it. I mean, everybody likes to see what their buddies are doing, or everybody likes to give Ryan Greer or Lee Maxwell a hard time on Twitter or something. So during the tournament, so I mean, it's just kind of like one big golf community, and that's what I've really enjoyed about. I mean, here in Tennessee, I've noticed, they don't really, other states around us may not have quite as much engagement within their golf community as we do here. So it's been kind of cool to see. So
Right, right. And I've noticed that, unfortunately, I feel like my age group, I had Jason Gandy on last week, and we talked about like my group for about the next 10 years. Like it seemed like every kid that grew up playing golf either tried to play turn pro or quit golf. That was it. There was no, and so like amateur golf has really hurt, I think, over the last decade or two. And I'm glad to see it kind of on the uptick, at least in the state of Tennessee anyway. Competitive, what I'm trying to say as far as
yeah, actually, I
tournament golf.
mean, this past year, of course, I mean, I've said it, COVID was, I mean, it was a good thing for golf, the golf business. It just seemed like everybody I talked to, whether it's golf courses or, local golf equipment reps or anything, like everybody's talking about how good business was last year. But I mean, from a TGA, state tournament perspective, I mean, pretty much all our tournaments across the board were up last year as far as injuries, like the Mid-Am, which we had out at TPC Southwind for the first time ever. It had a record number of entries, even more than we had at the honors course a couple of years ago, which, the honors course is always a big draw. So, I mean, it just seemed like last year, from a golf participation perspective, I mean, we had a really good year, and we saw a lot of new faces, and that, it's always good to see. So
Right. Yeah. So this is a fantasy golf podcast. So for the most part, so let's get into that a little bit.
you don't want
Um,
my advice,
no,
unless
I,
I did text you last night about Peter Malnati, and
yep.
Peter went off today, so I am feeling good right now. But other than that, my golf my golf betting is kind of subpar. So,
Well, okay. So I just want to get into this. So what is I've taught I do a little work for the very little work. Let me put it that way, for the SEC network, and I talked to
okay.
them a little bit about fantasy sports, and
Mm,
it's kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say shunned upon, but they're just told like, hey, since we're attributed to the universities, we're not going to discuss this on air.
yeah.
Is that I know that DraftKings is partnered with the PGA Tour, and you all are in somewhat direct relationship with PGA Tour and the PGA of America. Is it something that is brought up in meetings today, or is it something that is promoted? What do you think? What's your opinion on that, or I guess from the inside?
From our perspective, well, like I feel like golf and gambling kind of go hand in hand. Like it's just like it's always been a natural thing. I mean, from the TGA perspective, I mean, we're of course an amateur body, and so USGA and all that. We don't. I mean, from a good gambling perspective, we don't. There's no interaction or whatever. But I mean, we gamble on everything around here, so in the house. So I feel like, with the legalization here in Tennessee, and it's just it's kind of out in the open now. Like, I mean, like I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that I've been gambling on sports, pretty much my whole life, but through overseas accounts and whatnot. But it's funny now, like all my friends, I'm in all sorts of different group messages and stuff, and like nobody ever gambled. And now it's like, they'll all be talking. That's all our group texts are about, is like, who you betting tonight, or who, So, um, now from a state golf perspective, I don't really have, probably any input to give, but I feel like it's becoming more of a norm. I mean, you watch shows. I watched a show on the Golf Channel yesterday, and I mean, that's pretty much all it was they were talking about the odds, and who you were picking, and who you're going to fill out your fantasy team with and stuff. So I feel like it's becoming more widely accepted, and I mean, that's a good thing from my point of view. I feel like it brings viewers to the game and keeps people interested and engaged. And
Yeah, I mean, we really had to find something after Tiger Woods goes away. That's what I think. I mean, you know,
although I will, like, I was telling somebody this today, like, Tiger's kind of in and out, but like I enjoy. Of course, I do. I mean, I bet on pretty much every tournament every week, but I enjoy watching golf more now than I probably ever have, because, like, I don't know if it's just where I've been on this job or whatever, but like seeing the guys, these young guys come up, like the Victor Hovlands and the Matthew Wolves and the Lanto Griffins, like I've watched them come up through college and Corn Ferry Tour and PGA now, and like I enjoy watching those guys more, and I'm more tuned in, I guess, to the game or the professional game than I've ever been. So
Yeah, I mean the talent, and it really got not exposed, but shown out during COVID whenever there wasn't nothing to do but play golf. So every player played every week, and the scores just plummeted. I mean, they were records broke last year in every tournament almost. So
I mean, and then you got all these made for TV matches and stuff that kind of intertwine gambling and golf, and like I really enjoyed those. I think that's brought in new interest to the game, and you I just feel like the game's in a good spot. I mean, you have a story I read recently said there was as many people that played golf at like non-traditional places now, like the top golfs and the drive shacks and stuff like that, than play an actual course. And so I just feel like golf's kind of you know kind of letting its, I don't know if you say letting its guard down, or like becoming more relaxed and more open to different you know different ideas and new ways to bring people in. And
yeah, we did the 2 years ago. We did the Top Golf out in Las Vegas. Man, that was
yeah,
awesome.
me and I don't know, Glenn Hudson over at Oak
Yeah,
Ridge.
Glenn Hudson was a groomsman at my wedding.
Oh, well, me and Glenn and Jason Sanderson over at Cherokee, we were out there for the Vegas Pro Am about a month. Well, this is back in November now, but we went over to that Top Golf. It's about the only thing open in Las Vegas other than the casino floors. So
Pretty good view there, isn't it?
yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. So, I guess on the way out, last question I got for you is, as far as a citizen of Tennessee, what can we do if somebody loves golf? How can we support what you all do for the TGA and the golf house and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, the main thing with the Tennessee Golf Foundation is that they they try to grow the game through juniors and the disadvantage and with the first tees and the things like that. And so I mean, we're always looking for people to volunteer or donate or I mean even participate. I mean, if you participate in things, then say, I mean, we have a kid that participates and he goes back and tells 5 of his friends, and I mean how good a time he did. I mean, that's growing the game. But I mean, monetarily, if you want to participate, you can go to tngolf.org and just look for the Tennessee Golf Foundation, and you'll find ways that you can donate there. And I mean, we'll have different events throughout the year, like pro-ams and stuff. And so, I mean, fundraisers, and you can get on social media and look for those. If you'll go to that website, like I said, tngolf.org, you'll find our social media. There's so many social media handles I have to keep up with. So, but no, or I mean, they can, if you want any information on anything, whether it's junior golf or amateur golf or the section PGA, you can message me directly. My Twitter is at TGA Darren Reese, DARRENREESE, and I'll try to steer you in whichever direction you want to go. So
There you go, man. Well, Darren, I appreciate you coming on.
I
All the
appreciate
knowledge and
you. I listened to your fantasy podcast on the way back the other night, and I enjoy it.
yeah, we try to throw a little bit of fantasy in there and to talk a little bit about, because my buddies, he plays golf. He's my co-host on the show. He's probably like a 85, 90 shooter. So he has his weekend warrior
Yeah.
stories, and when I can get out there, we can. And you always see me posting stuff online about like the Labor Day scramble and stuff like that. That's pretty much the highlight of our year, the golf wise. So, but
I like to gamble on golf, like the fantasy sports and stuff. I feel like, I mean, that's probably my favorite to bet on, but it's like the hardest to bet. Like, I feel like golf is like the hardest sport to bet on.
yeah, well, it's
I
definitely
mean,
it's the most frustrating.
yeah, I mean, you could say, I mean, I've sat here for days and just poured over stats and, who puts good on Bermuda greens and, just who's going to deal with the wind the best in Hawaii. And it's, I mean, just, you still pick them out, and half the time they're not going to work out. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's why it's fun. That's why we keep coming up. And now you got to hit that one Peter Mountain Ollie shooting 800 in the first round, right?
fired up. Me and Peter went to the same high school. He was a couple years younger than me, but I've known Peter his whole life. So he had a really good fall, and it looks like he's kind of carried that over into the spring here. So I'd love to see him, get on another tear. So
Absolutely. Well, Darren, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes,
bringing all the knowledge about the TGA. Director of Marketing and Communications for the Tennessee Golf Association, Darren Reese. You have listened to the Turn Fantasy Golf Podcast.
Already hit 3 in the lake. It's gonna drive